social contract? Put your hand up if you signed the social contract. Very cool. Thank you, everybody, for your pledges. So what the social contract is it's just a code of conduct for the way that we ask you to do business, to act as a civilian within Alberta. So it's really easy, put diversity first. Always try and figure out who's not being included and try and rope them in and corral them in. So make sure diversity is there. Always offer free help because you needed it once in your life. So how have you reached a level where you can start to give it back? And that is also into that theory of paying it forward. Because if you pay it forward far enough, eventually it's going to come right back to you, right? There's also things like being fair. Listen, be open, be honest. If somebody has a really freaking bad idea, tell them. And tell them how they can fix it, or if it's even worth it. There's so many people who sometimes just get on a wild goose chase because no one has the courage to tell that white elephant in the room and be like, guys, we need to pivot or we need to change because this isn't going to work. So that's what a social contract is, because we think if you adhere to this, then trust is naturally going to build up in a community. And if you trust your community, you'll feel more safe. You'll feel like you can bring ideas to people and not worry about them stealing them for their own. You can talk to people and you can fail. You know that there's a community to catch you. And there's a community that can help you get back up and try something different, try something new. So that's what we're trying to do with the social contract with Rainforest Alberta. And so what these events are for, why you're here today, is because you can't trust somebody if you don't know them. So you're here to network, you're here to meet people, you're here to run into people you have no business otherwise running into. Because at Rainforest Alberta, doesn't matter if you're a CEO, a student, somewhere in between, everybody gets a chance to say hello and be part of this community. So, with that said, I would like to bring Courtney up because we had a very exciting event yesterday. We had our very first Rainforest Power Hour. Put your hand up if you were at Power Hour yesterday. Anybody? Yeah, Gary! Big round of applause for Gary. We're OG Rainforesters. Come on, everybody. Thank you, Gary, for coming. So what we did at Rainforest Power Hour is it was a bit of a different networking event. We didn't want to make a carbon copy of Lunch Without Lunch, but we still wanted to keep that informal energy, that excitement. So I'm going to let Courtney explain what we did yesterday, because I thought it was pretty fun.
So we experimented yesterday, and we're going to replicate that experiment at some point today. We're just going to kind of see how time flows. It's not going to be an exact thing that we did yesterday. But basically, one of the things that Mackenzie and I have been talking about is kind of gauging who's in the room, what are they interested in, where are they coming from. So we did a mapping exercise, but it was actually a physical mapping exercise. So we laid out the room in various different ways, and then you found yourself in a corner of the room based on the thing that I asked you. So one of the questions was, how did you get to Power Hour? So if you drove, you stood in a corner. If you walked or took your bike, you stood in a corner. So we mapped, and so it's a great way to, one, find commonalities, right, and find similarities, right, outside of something that's maybe just tech-driven, right? So maybe you just found someone who you can go to bike ride with, or take the train with, or carpool with, for that matter. Or it's also really interesting because we could see where some of the missing pieces are. So when we did Where Did You Live? We had one person from the Northeast and two people from the Southeast. So what does that tell us? What does it tell Mackenzie and I? What does it say about the events that we're hosting and where we're hosting them? So we will be playing with this. We're going to play with one today. And I think it was great excitement, and it gave people something to talk about outside of maybe just the tech industry and find some commonalities and similarities.
Yeah. Tom.
I just wonder, Courtney, was there any reference, I'm of an age where you say the Power Hour, I'm sort of thinking there was some 70s heavy metal music playing in the background. Did the library allow for that?
Well, I was thinking arm wrestling. But no, we didn't have any music. But I don't know. Have we done any music events?
It's a good suggestion.
Maybe.
Much music, MTV. They've got lots of stuff you could put on.
Maybe.
And the big hair, that some of us used to have.
Rainforest Playlist. Or maybe we'll have to map on music preferences, right? Like
There
classical, country. You may not want to self-identify with that in public. I don't know. No, but that was it. Any other questions from Power Hour? Awesome. Hopefully, so we're, Mackenzie and I are talking about how often we're gonna replicate it, where we're gonna replicate it, if it's actually gonna be replicated, or kind of take on some sort of iteration, like yesterday, and kind of move forward, but we're gonna see what that looks like. So I hope at some point you can come out, and if you have any input on where you might like to see it, it kind of starting off as a partnership with the library, so kind of that's a key component to it, but where you might like to see it, let us know. Do you have a question?
Well, it was from 4:30 to 5:30. I've been getting a lot of feedback that today at noon, people preferred eating lunch. Crazy. For networking. It's a very similar core purpose as this. We just want to create a chance for people to collide with people they otherwise might not have. So we're just trying to make the magic of what Lunch Without Lunch is a bit more accessible to people who maybe not have the luxury of being able to sneak away during lunchtime. So that's Power Hour. We're going to shake things up a little bit more today because I have a very special guest. A lot of you probably know him. We all love him. Pat Lohr is up here today. He's going to be chatting a bit about investment, his story, his experiences, and he's got some stuff to share. And then, yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask him as well. Pat Lohr, everybody.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to live up to that intro. I don't know if it's all that exciting and all that special. But let me brag for 30 seconds. In the early days of my career, I worked for Brad Zumwalt right in the back there for Adobe Systems, and from there we created a little company called iStock Photo, which was one of the world's first stock photography marketplaces. We built that up over a few years. We sold that to Getty Images. And from there, I've gone on to volunteer in the community and create a bunch of tech-oriented events to help entrepreneurs get their start. Events like Founders and Funders dinners and DemoCamp. From there, I've done a bunch of angel investing, and I've also started a few other companies up as well. So notably, a couple of investments that I've done have sold to Adobe and Google. I don't know if it's because I'm a good investor or I don't know if it's luck. I think it's a little bit of both. But I'm here to share a few insights as to what investors look for when it comes to putting your money to work into companies. And hopefully, if you're investing, that'll help you. It'll help you think about some of the questions that we ask entrepreneurs. And if you're an entrepreneur, hopefully this will prepare you for the discussion with investors. So when we talk to companies, we ask three things. We ask, what is it? We ask, how big can it be? And is there founder magic? Okay. So 3 questions. Let me dig into each of those. Okay. What is it? Okay. So what is it is, basically what's a product? What does it do? Who does it serve? How deep can you get on some of these questions? Okay. So do you know who does it serve? Right? Do you know the demographic? How big is that demographic? How specific can you get about that? Okay. Who's the competition? Okay. Is the competition small? Is it big? Are they well funded? Okay. So I think you want to dig pretty deep into some of those facts. Second thing is, how big can it be? So we look at it as, is this a local market? Is it a national market? Is it an international market? Is the market size $100 million, or is it $1 billion, or is it $1 trillion? Super important stuff. I think that most of you will look into something and basically say, or most business plans come in and say, listen, it's $1 billion market, and we're going to take 1% of it, and therefore we're going to have this $100 million business. That business plan almost always gets ignored because what it tells us is that you haven't done your homework. Okay? It's not specific enough of a plan. Right? So the start of a plan, start there and then dig deeper. Okay? So that's question number 2. How big is it? Obviously, VCs are looking for big returns. Most angel investors are looking for big returns. make sure it's a big market. I think the only exception is this, is that there are some local angel investors that are more concerned about local ecosystem, than they are about making big returns. Okay? So there's some people around in Calgary or in any local community that say, we're more concerned about this particular area, okay, of the community. And we're willing to invest $50,000, $100,000, a few $1 million towards building this certain area, in our communities. And so that may be the exception, right? So they're not so concerned about a big market. They're concerned that you're having some kind of impact in the market. And then thirdly, founder magic. This is you. Okay? So you've heard that most people will invest because of the people at the meeting. Okay? And so there's a whole bunch of stuff wrapped up in there. We often talk about trust. That's really important. How are you building trust with entrepreneurs or with your investor? The way not to build trust is to go, hello, Gary. Today I have a business. I'd like you to invest $2 million. Right? And Gary kind of says, who the hell are you? Right?
What camel did you get on?
Yeah, exactly. So listen, before, and Jim always talks about this, it's the rainforest philosophy. Have a give before you ask. Right? So show a little bit of value to your investor. And I think the value to, if I were to put myself on the other side of that conversation, the value that you can bring to me is bring me something that I didn't know. Okay? So I meet with hundreds of volunteers every month. Okay? And the ones that move to the very top of the list, if you want to make the top 2% of the entrepreneurs that I meet, it's not that hard. Just bring me something that I didn't know. Okay? This is a fact I didn't know. This is a report I didn't have. This is an insight that you've been studying, and this should be easy. Right? You've been studying, hopefully you've been studying really your business really hard, right? And your competitors really, they're spending a lot of time looking at your competitors. And you go, listen, we've done a year's worth of research. This is what we know about the competition. This is what we know about our sector. And I'll go, wow, I did not know that. And that's amazing. And that, so I'll be calling you back at some point about that. Right? You're a source of knowledge that I want to tap into. Okay? And so it's not that hard to impress us, but it's amazing how 95% of the entrepreneurs that we meet don't. Okay? So 3 fairly easy things. Okay? There's a couple of examples that I want to talk about where founders have hit these three questions and hit them with hit right in the sweet spot of those. Okay? Our latest investment, one of our latest investments out of Vancouver, a company called FiSpan. Let's start with Founder Magic. Lisa Shields was formerly co-founder of a company which sold for $400 million to PayPal. Okay, so if you type in Lisa Shields, Hyperwallet was the company. Just sold for last year. It was announced, I believe, in May or June last year. $400 million exit. She decided to put a good portion of the financing round back into the company. So we basically said, wow, that's damn impressive, number one. Number two, you're putting back a big chunk of that money back in the company. And that's really impressive, showing that she's putting skin back in the game. Plus, there's a whole other list of things that are really impressive with Lisa. The other thing is she's got a master's in engineering from MIT. And oh, by the way, while she was at MIT, she was on the blackjack team. Yeah. So, and the list just goes on and on and on. And so when we get into a room with her, we just go, yeah, Founder Magic, check, 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 right, across all dimensions. Let's go up to the question number 2, which is this a big market? Okay. And she says, yeah, we're connecting banks with ERPs, enterprise resource planning software systems like SAP, like Oracle, like NetSuite, like QuickBooks. And we go, is this a big market? Hey, sounds like it's not that complicated. Sounds like it's been done before. It sounds really, really simple. Like, Lisa, why this market? And she goes, well, why don't you talk to JP Morgan Chase? We're in the middle of negotiating a contract with them. Why don't you talk to Citibank? Why don't you talk to Key West Bank? Why don't you talk to the Bank of Midwest? And so we said, sure, give us those numbers. She introduced us to those 4 VPs of innovation. We called up the VP of innovation at JP Morgan Chase, and he said, listen, Lisa's the real deal. She's super impressive, number 1. Number 2, we've been looking for some software in this space for the last 3 to 5 years. And we think that this is a game changer, right? And so on and so on and so on, right? We called the other 3 banks. They also said, yeah, this is awesome. We love Lisa, we love her team, we love this concept, we think it's big. And so we said, okay, sounds pretty good. It's a big market. We ran the math on it, and we verified it with customers or people that were about to be their customers. So check number 2, right? And then we go back to what is it? We did the research on this, and we looked at the market. There are over 180 ERP software packages out there. Right? The top 3 or 4 probably take 90% market share, although it's not exact. Those aren't exact numbers. It's really hard to tell what they are. Who does it serve? Well, it serves treasurers who have to pay the bills. What happens right now is if you're the treasurer of a Fortune 500 company, what you do is this. You take 1 day a week and you have one screen, which is SAP. And you have another screen, which is your banking interface. Okay? What you do is this. Of the thousands of payments that you have to make to your suppliers and your vendors, what you do is you type it into SAP. And then you move over to this computer, and then you type it into the banking system. Right? Right. That is 1 day a week if you're a treasurer of one of these big companies. Right? And so JP Morgan Chase said this. They said, if we can give back 20% of a treasurer's time, like if we go to our Fortune 500 customers and we say, we can give you back a day out of a week of your life that you can do other treasury functions other than this stupid double entry thing. Right? We think that we're going to get more of their money and more of their business. It's a no-brainer. So we get one customer out of this. You know, we don't care what we pay for this. It's more than worth it. Right? So we think that there's a customer value prop. We think it's a big company, or it's a big opportunity. And we love the founder, and we love the team that she's put together. Right? And so those are the major things that we looked at. But we took probably a 2-month look at this company, and she was able to check all the boxes. Now, there were some things that in this company that we said, hey, these are big risk factors. Right? There's always executional risk. So don't ever think that any investment opportunity that we're putting our money into is without risk. Right? We still expect these companies to encounter difficulties. What's the major difficulty with FiSpan? What do you think? Go ahead, Pete.
Sorry, I don't know the answer to that. I was going to ask you a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Can you pick a small company that was a much less financially secure individual that had an idea that you looked at and went, wow, this is it, and then put some money on that?
Yeah, we come across that every day. Can I come back to that one?
Yes, you can.
I just want to ask, like, so this sounds like it's a massively well-established company, but it's still going to go through the same kind of growing pains that everyone else is going through, right? So Sandy?
Adoption might be a challenge because the old spreadsheet double entry thing is hard for people to give up.
Yeah, that's one of them. What else? In the back there?
I think you'd have two major problems. First one would be regulatory.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to, and the other one is infrastructure.
Yeah.
You tie into the servers of the banks.
Okay, got it. You guys are getting close to the answer that I'm looking for. Not
It's
quite.
just getting the product to market, going live.
Yeah. So what is it? Be more specific about that. What does that mean?
Having the first client using that product and hopefully giving some
Yeah.
good feedback.
So how easy do you think it is to sign up a bank to a contract? How long do you think it takes? Right? Like, listen, the banks are holding your money and my money, right? And we expect them to keep it ultra safe. They're holding trillions upon trillions of dollars, right? And they make it really hard to do business with them, as they should, right? So yeah, I mean, it's going to take a good, I would say that if they sign up one bank every year, that might be an amazingly fast pace in that marketplace. Right? I hope they're going to be able to find some magic and do it quicker, but you know, it's hard to sign up a bank as it should be, right? So that's a natural barrier to entry.
That first customer will help though, once you get that first one, it's a bit of a waterfall and they go, okay, I see that that's there and.
Yeah, they already have early customers. So they already have JP Morgan in there, and then they have Citibank in there, and they're about to sign up a few others as well. So their sales momentum is crazy. But to get it established and out there and used at scale, I think that's the next step. Right? Yes?
Why would SAP just look at this and go, why are we doing this?
I think that's part of the bet. Right? Yeah, absolutely. I think they would buy this rather than build it.
Patrick, I just wondered, I think your time estimate for how long it takes a bank to, sort of get on board, if you will, it might be a little light, as I can give you some anecdotal reference. Having worked for 2 years at a Schedule I bank, trying to remove the dot before Royal Bank of Canada's name back in the 90s. It takes a little while to get all the I's.
Yeah. Oh, and we should talk over a beer sometime. I just joined the board of ATB Financial, which is our bank. It's owned by the Alberta government. And it's taken them 10 years to change it from Alberta Treasury branches to ATB Financial. That was a 10-year exercise.
Yeah.
So yes.
I worked with a company that put a consortium of the big name banks you're talking about, who each put a small investment into that company and owned a piece of it. And it was a similar type situation where the end product benefited the bank. And it only took them about 3-4 months to put the consortium together. It wasn't a lot of money, it was a couple million. And that's what funded it. And it's actually up and running here in Calgary. It's a stock market. It does about $1 billion.
Yeah. So I think there are ways to get in, but I think that when it comes time to working with big banks, that it is a difficult road to negotiate. And then the numbers that I threw out there, or the timelines that I threw out there, as our friend here says, is we're very, very optimistic. But they're optimistic for a reason, because we've got deep connections into the bank. But I agree, it could take you 3 years to even get to the right person at a bank, right? So this is what we typically see with small companies. They typically underestimate the number of people that they need to talk to at a bank, and they typically underestimate the timeline. So let's leave that example. Second example, Pete asked about a super early stage company. I'm going to take 2 minutes with this. Okay, getting pulled off stage here by Mackenzie. 2 minutes with this. I saw an entrepreneur a bunch of years ago at a demo camp in Montreal. He was pitching this crazy UI for desktops. What it was basically turning your files. You know how you have files and folders on your desktop into something fun. So what you could do is you could take a file and just toss it against, use your mouse and toss it against the side, and it would bounce out against the walls. It would bounce against the edges. You could take a stack of files and toss it against another stack of files, and they would join together or break apart and explode out.
That was my files all the time.
Yeah, exactly. It just basically what they called it was a physics-based desktop. It made your desktop files act as if you were throwing stuff around on your desk. Okay. And we looked at it and we said, okay, there's no revenues. This is a U of T research project. A super brilliant kid who was raised in Calgary, did his first degree in Calgary, went to U of T and did his master's in HCI, human computer interfaces. And this was his thesis project. The reason why it was so interesting was instead of presenting a white paper or research paper at the end of his 2 years, he presented a rap video.
Oh,
Right? So he did a rap video of him tossing stuff around on this desktop. Thing gets 1 million views or a few million views on YouTube. He gets invited to TED, like not TEDx, TED, right? Where he's speaking in front of Bill Clinton and all these crazy, this crazy TEDx or TED crowd. We see him and we go, wow, this is crazy awesome. We don't know what this business is. There might be a big market. We don't know who you're serving, but we love you. Okay, so did he answer question 1? No. Did he answer question 2? No. Did he answer question 3? Absolutely. Okay, so threw a little bit of money in, and this is crazy. We just got lucky with this one. There was a binary result. What we did was we went through a year and a half of trying to sell this product, and we tried to sell to HP. We tried to get HP to pay 50 cents per computer on this. We tried to get Intel to buy this. We tried to get a ton of other companies to buy this, and nobody was buying. Right? We just worked our butts off trying to get them there. We went to trade shows, et cetera, et cetera. Could not make it happen. Google looked at it and said, "This is awesome. We like your intellectual property." There were about 10 patents on his technology. Google said, "Why don't we hire you and your team and buy your IP and just stick it into Android?" And so today, all that technology and a lot of his team are currently working on the desktop interface or the tablet interface for Google Android. Okay? So that was a little bit of luck, mostly just a kid that's super, super impressive on the technology side, and obviously on his rap skills. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pat. Thanks for your insight. All right, so who can?
I just want to say it's all about personal branding, and everybody should get that message.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, personal branding. That's one of them. I was going to ask who can rattle off the 3 tips that Pat just gave us. So we got the magic. What were the other 2? Anyone? Research.
How big?
Huh?
How big?
Yes, excellent. Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Pete, for bringing Pat. All right, so Pat is one of our OG rainforesters, but I want to turn our attention to our newbie rainforesters. Can I get you to raise your hand one more time, please? There was a bunch of you. All right, newbies. So this is a networking event. Networking starts with a hello. So I would like to ask you to come up to the front, and we're going to make some introductions. Come on.
So we're on Facebook Live. And if you want to hear Patrick again, we actually are on Facebook Live, so you can go check out the Rainforest, YouTube Live, the Rainforest YouTube channel.
Excellent. So, Daphne, why don't you introduce yourself? Give an example. What we want to hear from you is who are you? What's your name? What's your superpower? What can you offer in the rainforest? And then what are you looking for from this community? Why are you here today? You have 30 seconds. Super easy. And Daphne's going to give an example.
Timer myself.
Oh, and then the timer.
Just wait, you gotta click on it. Oh, I didn't do that right. There. No. My superpower is not working. I'm Daphne Canales-Lees from Spartan Spark. Our claim to fame is I wish I was on page 2 of Google, said no one ever. So we help companies get to the top of Google with our marketing communications, and my superpower is actually helping people and companies communicate better, tell their story, and I'm helping the Rainforest tell their story and help engage our members. And what I have to offer the Rainforest is my marketing advice. If anybody ever wants to meet with me, I meet after Rainforest one-on-ones or do marketing workshops. Thank you.
Excellent. It's that easy. And time's up. All right, so it's that simple. Just down the line, and we do videotape these for. Oh, I'll stand over here.
Okay, ready?
Hi, my name is Steve Krosniski. I am the VP of Sales for a new startup SaaS company. What we do is we develop a way where oil and gas companies, as our first industry, can operate 30%, 36% of their day from an operations standpoint out of one platform. We partnered up with Microsoft Azure, and the customer gets to hold their data on their own Azure account. We just overlay capabilities on that. My superpower is not making the time, maybe talking too much. And what can I offer is just networking. I've been in oil and gas for 25 years and in sales and marketing for the last 15 years. So master of time's up.
Awesome. My name is J.R. Hammond. I just signed on recently with Geometric Energy. I'm based full-time out of Vancouver, but going back and forth between Calgary and Vancouver at this moment. We are a research and development and consulting company focusing specifically on energy systems and aerospace. My superpower is trying to get electric flying vehicles into our generation and our reality. And so what can I offer the Rainforest Group? I am based out of Vancouver and leverage my connections on the Asia Pacific side, having just moved back there living there for over 6 years. So if you're ever in the Vancouver Asia Pacific side, hit me up.
You get 1 second left there.
You get bonus points.
Yeah, my name is Trevor Geddes. I work for a junior oil and gas company downtown here called Orleans Street, Canada. Oh, sorry. Trevor Geddes. I work for a small junior oil and gas company downtown here with Orleans Street, Canada. And I'm an operations manager, so I look after the field operations team and group. I'm here to understand what's on the market now for new technologies and really super interested in understanding how that applies to field operations and well control. Lots of SCADA programs out there, lots of FTC programs out there. I'd like to understand if anybody's got any critical links between the two in terms of artificial intelligence. Sorry, superpower is I got 3 grown children, 2 are out of the house, and I'm trying to kick the last one out.
Good day, my name is Anthony Steenbergen. I'm founder of Cannabiscuit Canada. We're looking to launch a product line of nutraceuticals for canines, integrating traditional medicines and phytocannabinoids. And superpower. Yes, enjoy cycling, former life as a bicycle mechanic and geophysicist, enjoy structural geology.
Excellent.
Hi, my name is Chris Raczkowski. Actually, I live in Beijing. I've been in China for 15 years, running sort of multiple startups there in the energy and environment sectors. And now looking to get some businesses started up here in Calgary that would be facing Asia, looking at exports, especially agri-exports, looking to change industries a bit. So we've started up a new platform for that called Blue Planet, and been around here for several visits and coming back for more. I guess maybe my superpower, hopefully, is building teams. We've had some very successful teams in Beijing and the startups we've had there, and hope to be able to do the same here in Calgary.
Awesome, welcome.
Hi, my name is Cheeto. I am a digital marketer and online business manager. I work with I want to work with different people and connecting their story, their brands with the audience. My superpower would be, you know how you should have somebody who is the big ideas, you should have somebody who is a networker. I'm the person who kind of does all the things and then asks the question how. It's great when you have ideas, I know how to get there, but I'm the person who says, how do we do that and how do we connect that with your audience? The most important, tell your story, connect your audience to your messaging.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm here just to connect with more people. I work from home, so it's nice to not work with Americans all day.
Hello, my name is Andrew McMillan. I'm a patent agent at AtMac Patent Services, which is a small patent firm that I founded about 4 years ago. My superpower is software patents. I have a computer engineering background, so I do a lot of hardware and software. I can offer to the Rainforest Group, I guess, education on patents, how you can have peace of mind and hope that someone steals and copies your idea. Have a backup plan, and monetize it. And what I'm looking for is networking. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Stewart. Currently not employed, but looking for work and really interested in Rainforest just because I've had a lot of experience with a number of different organizations. And I think that's something that I can offer to Rainforest and some of the different of the 10 tenants, history, background, and some of the experiences that I've had for sure. And one of the things with regards to superpower, I think, is just that rapid understanding of new environments for sure. From a business consulting side, I've got both the IT and the business side, so it's quite a bit of experience bridging the two for sure.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Sturga and I'm with a company called Great Excavations. We're a construction company in the energy sector primarily, but actually what we specialize in is amphibious equipment. We realized soon enough after we started bringing in the equipment from China over 10 years ago, that there's no modifications to this equipment for work in Canada, in particular on Muscat, in over 50 years. So we are doing all kinds of technological advancements to bring up the engineering standards for floating equipment to make it safer and better. And ideally, it will work in Canada and worldwide. And my superpower, I really like to talk, I like to volunteer, and I like Rainforest because of this right here and how it talks about all the things that matter in my volunteer work, including diversity.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Julie. I'm a business operations manager for a small boutique recruiting firm. And every day is really interesting because it's a small firm and I get to wear a lot of hats, so I really like that. I would say my biggest superpower is I have a freakishly strong attention to detail, and I really like Excel spreadsheets. So yeah, and I would say things to offer to Rainforest. I am more of a listener. I really like to listen. So if somebody needs somebody to bounce ideas off or someone just to listen, I'm your girl. And in terms of coming here, I think I'm just really curious and I'd like to learn more. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome, welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. I'm Dave Hicks, founder of IQ International. My superpower, I'll start with that, is that I can make virtually everybody in this room much more aware, link it to your process, and create a lot more success with you, which in turn has fostered my business, which develops pilot training mechanisms for this massive emerging market for private hires. And I can take a look at savings of 20% to an average flight school, increase specific increases in benefits to pilot selection for airlines, and generate very specific results for flight schools themselves and companies. So with that, thanks very much.
My name is Samuel Reed. I'm CEO of Geometric Energy Corporation, as well as Intergovernmental Affairs Director of the Institute for Exotic Science, which is in Huntsville, Alabama, as well as head of space of IOTA Foundation. So at Geometric Energy, we're focused on research and development and consulting and energy systems, as well as aerospace defense and security and intelligence work. My superpower is bringing people down the rabbit hole, and I work on a variety of space projects. And the Institute for Exotic Science is focused on declassifying technology and working on very highly advanced things.
Hi, my name is Mike Chessa. I work for a startup. It's called Funko Logic. It's a virtual CISO platform. It's kind of like your TurboTax, but instead of setting up your taxes, it's setting up your information security program so you don't get hacked. My superpower is building a sales team. Been doing that for the last 12 years. And what I can offer you folks, if anyone's in a startup or trying to figure out how to build up their sales process, things like that, happy to help.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Big round of applause for our newbies. So that was it. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for introducing yourselves. My challenge, I say every week, is bring somebody next week to Lunch Without Lunch who's never been, so you can watch them squirm out of the front and get all sweaty and flustered and talk too much. So that is what I challenge you to do next week. We only have time for 3 announcements. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Tom, come on up.
Thank you, Tom with AMAC. Coming up here to report on a couple of shout outs for Rainforest and its co-founders to I'll say quite a different crowd. This morning there was a breakfast and the featured speaker was Adam Legg, who some of you know as being president of the Chamber of Commerce, but has now moved up to a position with the Haskayne School. Anyway, his crowd, or his speech was a world of uncertainty, business trends and challenges for directors. And I think if I could just sum it up, many of the real observation is that the people that were listening, many of them have gray hair and are much older than I am, really were encouraged to come out to places like Rainforest, Alberta. Specific shout outs to Brad Zumwalt and Jim Gibson and some of the work they're doing. And so I thought, in terms of saying the word is getting out, if you tell 2 people, they'll tell 2 people. Today was a classic example, so there you go.
Thanks, Tom. That's so cool. All right, number 2.
Hey folks, my name is Tynan Allen. I am recognizing that many times in organizations right now, people are struggling with talent. And a friend of mine, Kelly Lavelle, who is incredible, like when Patrick talks about the wow factor of a founder, she is it. She's the Queen's young leader. Like she literally meets with the Queen to tell her about like what young people need, and it's like just rad. She's coming to Calgary next week, and she's bringing her team. And their whole mandate is helping leaders and executives understand millennials and the next generation of their employees and how to integrate them and retain them. And so there's an executive forum next Thursday evening. I believe that's the 31st, from 6:30 to 9:30. And they'll be addressing all of the research behind millennials, what that looks like to integrate them and really empower them in the workplace. And I just wanted to invite all of you here who that might be applicable to, who are employing millennials and want to really make their experience and in the workplace awesome and really harness the power of what they have to offer to your business. Please speak with me afterwards if you're interested in attending. There is kind of the one awesome thing about it is that they encourage you with the ticket price to actually bring along one of your junior employees. So I like that they did that. So anyways, I'll be posting the link of how to sign up as well on the Slack channel. Thank you so much.
Throw it up on the whiteboard.
I will do that. Cheers.
Hi, a quick reorientation. I want to take a time to just go right from the top about why we're here. So you're here because we need your voice. And I think Mackenzie put it very well when she said that's what you're doing when you're introducing yourself. You're hearing your own voice in your city, then we need you to continue to speak up. And what are we working on here in Rainforest? From the very top, a properly formed modern economy might have about 5%, up to 7% if you're America, of its overall economy from the digital economy. And we would say digital economy would be hardware, software, telecom, support services, e-commerce, and digital media. So those 5 chunks should constitute 5, 6, 7%. Let's say 5%. Alberta's GDP is $330 billion. So what we're shooting for with our work here is to how do we make that 5% real? How do we make each of those 5 sectors worth $2 or $3 billion? We're a long ways from that, but that's what we're working together to do. More importantly, how do we get innovation flowing to the guy that was here from the intermediate oil and gas company? How do we get innovation flowing into the 95% of the economy? That's really how we move the needle, how we get the province growing again. To grow, why do we have to grow? We got to be competitive. We have to compete with other jurisdictions. To be competitive, usually we have to drive new efficiencies. To drive new efficiencies, you have to have innovation. What are the ingredients for innovation? We list those when we talk about this rainforest mental model. We think we have to have culture, leadership, role models, infrastructure and policy, engaged activity resources in the form of talent, new ideas, and capital. So that's how we get innovation. But doing innovation is risky. So how do you overcome those risks? With trust. And our shorthand for establishing trust is these values. So you've heard your voice here now at Rainforest, and now you need to carry that out in your organizations and in your companies and in your city and in your province to make sure that we're driving innovation into that 5% digital economy sector, and more importantly, into the 95% of the overall Alberta economy. That's the work we're about here. Mackenzie, you put it very well in your intro this morning. And thanks so much for all of you for coming out, and make sure we continue to hear your voice. Thanks.
Thanks, Brad. So just a couple housekeeping. If you haven't already signed the social contract, you can review it at rainforestab.ca. You can digitally sign your pledge there, and then you'll get an invite to our Slack channel. So we think that face-to-face is imperative, but there's also value to the digital networking. So Slack is basically our giant digital lunch without lunch. You can just direct message people. There's channels about activities that are happening within the community and within Rainforest, so make sure you get signed up to that. And I just like to put out a reminder that I'm looking for co-hosts to stand up with me for Lunch Without Lunch. I really want to start focusing on this diversity. I need women, I need people of color, I need new Canadians, I need Native Calgarians, I need LGBTQ, I need CEOs, I need students. I need so many different people up here with me so that they can share their voice, as Brad would put it. And so that we can see that there's tons of different people that are making a difference in Calgary. Please nominate others. Please don't nominate yourself. That's my one caveat. What is that? Old white guys? Come on up.
I
No, not discriminating against old white guys.
Simon. Second.
All right, thanks guys. That's Lunch Without Lunch. Meet a friend. See you next week.